Hey everybody, welcome to Easy English Podcast. I'm Liam.
And I'm Zoe.
So usually we help you learn English, but today we're doing something a little different, just for fun.
Yeah, it's a bonus episode
Yeah.
all about guys and girls and how we remember things.
Right.
You know, like maybe a little differently sometimes.
We found this really interesting video,
Oh, yeah.
and it kind of blew our minds.
Yeah.
It's about
Yeah.
these two people who had a one-night stand,
Okay.
and they're each being interviewed separately about it.
Oh, interesting.
And then they're brought face to face
What?
to compare their stories.
Oh my gosh, that's so awkward.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And their stories don't always match up.
Really?
Like, one of them says they were together for maybe 20 minutes,
Okay.
but the other person thinks it was more like an hour and a half.
That's a huge difference.
I know.
So what's going on? Like, are our brains wired differently?
I know. Is it just our personalities?
Yeah.
Or is it like a guy-girl thing?
Exactly.
And it's not just about the time. They also remembered things like who started the kissing,
Uh-huh.
what happened in bed, even if someone had an orgasm totally differently.
That's wild.
Yeah, it makes you think, like, do we each just see the world in our own way?
That's what we're going to dive into today.
Yeah.
Why are these memories so different?
Right.
What does it say about our brains?
It's not just gossip. This is like real psychology stuff.
Exactly.
Okay, so the video starts with them both talking about how they met at this party.
Okay.
Seems like there was an attraction right away.
Uh-huh.
But even their memories of that first meeting
Yeah.
don't quite match up.
What do you mean?
Like, he remembers her being dressed in a really eye-catching outfit, but she remembers wearing something totally different.
Oh, that's interesting.
It just shows how even the small details
Yeah,
get twisted in our memories.
I guess so.
And she remembers him approaching her first,
Okay.
but he thinks she was the one who made the first move.
So are they both wrong?
No, it's funny how something so simple can be remembered in opposite ways.
It's like our brains are filling in the blanks
Right.
with what we expected to happen.
Instead of what actually happened.
Right. And those expectations
Yeah.
can be affected by our culture,
Yeah.
gender roles,
Mhm.
our own hopes and desires.
It's like our brains are telling us stories,
That's exactly.
even when we think we're just remembering facts.
And those stories can be so powerful. They shape how we see ourselves.
Yeah.
How we see other people, even how we understand our own past.
Okay, so they meet at the party. They're interested.
Okay.
But how they actually ended up back at his place
Yeah.
gets a little fuzzy.
What happened?
Well, he remembers them kind of naturally drifting towards each other
Okay.
as the party was winding down.
Yeah.
But she remembers deciding to go to his place
Really?
for like an after party with some friends.
Oh, wow. So even their motivations for leaving are different.
Totally.
Wow.
And that's before we even get to what happened later on.
Yeah. This is just the beginning.
Right.
And we're already seeing these cracks in their shared reality.
Yeah, if we can't agree on how we got somewhere,
Right.
how can we agree on what happened when we got there?
That's a great question. And that's what we're going to dive into next.
Yeah, we're going to look at how their memories of the actual hookup are totally different.
Oh, this is juicy.
And what that tells us about how men and women experience and remember things.
Especially when it comes to sex.
Stay tuned.
This is where it gets good. So we left off with them heading back to his place, and this is where the differences in their memories get even bigger. Like they can't even agree on where things started to get physical.
Yeah, he remembers them making out on the couch before moving to the bedroom.
Uh-huh.
But she's like, no way we went straight to the bedroom.
Wow.
Like, those are pretty big details to forget.
Right. And it's not about figuring out who's right or wrong or who's lying,
Right.
but it might show something deeper about how men and women remember sexual encounters.
Okay, I get that, but some of the details are kind of funny. Oh, yeah. Like, he remembers her being super eager to get things going,
Mm-hmm.
but she remembers him being the one who was all over her.
Oh, that's interesting.
So who do we believe?
I mean, it's possible our own desires,
Yeah.
maybe a little bit of ego,
Right.
can shape our memories.
So maybe she was just nervous,
Yeah.
and he thought she was impatient.
Exactly. Or maybe he was the one who was nervous and just like projected that onto her.
Yeah. It's easy to see how those misunderstandings can happen.
Totally. Especially in a situation like this where there's already like all these unspoken expectations.
Yeah, for sure.
And speaking of expectations, things get even more interesting when they start talking about specific things that happened during the hookup.
Okay, like what?
Like, for example, he remembers her initiating some pretty adventurous stuff,
Okay.
but she has absolutely no recollection of that.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you think he's just making it up, like making the story better in his own mind?
It's possible, but we should also think about how society's expectations and gender roles play into how we remember these things.
Like guys are supposed to be more assertive?
Yeah,
Say,
exactly. And women are supposed to be more passive, so it's possible he's shaping his memory
Yeah.
to fit those expectations, even if it wasn't really accurate.
It's like our brains are trying to make things fit
Right.
with the stories we tell ourselves about men and women.
Exactly. And those stories can be so powerful,
Yeah.
even if we don't realize it.
Okay, so then we get to how long the actual sex lasted.
Oh, yeah.
And this is where it gets hilarious.
What happened?
He's like maybe 15, 20 minutes tops.
Okay.
And she's like, hold on. I was giving you oral sex for at least an hour.
Oh, my God.
I know, right? That was one of the biggest differences in their stories.
Right. But again, it's not about who's right or wrong.
Right.
But it shows how our experience of time can be subjective.
Yeah.
Especially when we're, caught up in pleasure.
Yeah, I totally get that sometimes time flies by when you're having fun, and sometimes it feels like it's taking forever.
Exactly. And researchers have found that our emotions and how focused we are can really change how we feel time.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, when we're enjoying something, time seems to go faster.
Oh, okay.
But when we're bored or uncomfortable, those same minutes can feel like forever.
So maybe he was just so focused on himself.
Yeah.
He didn't even notice how much time was passing.
Exactly. And she was more aware of it.
Yeah.
Because she wasn't as caught up in the moment.
That makes sense.
It shows how even time perception can be different.
Yes.
Based on our own experiences.
And then, of course, there's the whole orgasm thing.
Oh, yeah.
She remembers having an orgasm.
Okay.
But he has no idea if she did.
Really?
Yeah, he even says he wasn't really paying attention.
Oh,
because he was falling asleep.
Oh, my gosh.
Again, maybe it's societal expectations.
Yeah.
Guys are supposed to be the ones who give women orgasms.
Right.
Maybe he felt a little embarrassed he didn't notice.
Right. Or maybe, again, he was just so focused on his own experience that he wasn't really present for hers.
That's kind of sad.
Yeah.
It's crazy how two people can have such different memories of the same thing.
Right. It makes you wonder how much of what we remember is really true and how much is just our own interpretations.
Right.
Expectations.
Yeah.
Even our biases.
So basically, our memories aren't like video recordings.
No.
They're more like stories we tell ourselves.
Exactly.
And those stories can change over time.
Absolutely.
Depending on who we are and how we feel.
That's a great way to put it. And I think it's important to realize that we need to be humble about our memories.
Right.
Can always assume that we have the whole picture.
Especially when it comes to sex.
Right.
So what happens when they finally come face to face and have to deal with these different memories?
Well, that's what we'll talk about in the next part of our deep dive.
Okay.
Stay tuned because it's about to get really interesting.
And maybe a little awkward. Okay, so we've heard both sides of the story.
Yeah, and how different they are?
But now's the big moment.
Oh,
they're face to face.
They're going to compare notes.
This is where things could get kind of awkward.
Totally. Maybe even a little confrontational.
So what happens?
Well, at first there's a lot of awkward laughter.
Yeah.
You can tell they're both kind of squirming in their seats.
I bet.
As they realize how different their stories are.
That must be so weird.
I know.
To hear someone telling a story about something you did.
Yeah.
But they remember it totally different.
And remember, they didn't know what the other person was going to say.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a total blindside.
So do they get mad?
No.
Do they accuse each other of lying?
Surprisingly, no. They actually handle it pretty well.
Really?
Yeah, there's some disbelief, of course. And they tease each other about some of the bigger differences.
Like when he says he was a perfect gentleman?
Yeah.
And she's like, no, you were all over me.
Exactly. They're able to laugh about it.
That's good.
Which I think is healthy. It shows they're mature and self-aware.
I guess in the end, it was just a one-night stand.
Right.
Not like a big deal.
Exactly. And the fact that they can acknowledge that and find the humor in it is pretty cool.
It makes you think how many other couples out there have totally different memories.
Oh, I'm sure tons of them.
Of their first time.
We all see things differently. We have our own filters that shape how we remember things.
And those filters are affected by everything.
Yeah, our personality, gender, culture.
So basically, memory isn't a perfect recording of the past?
Nope. It's more like a story that our brains create.
And those stories can change.
Yeah.
Based on all sorts of things.
Exactly. Sometimes without us even realizing it.
So what have we learned? Should we just give up on trying to have a shared reality?
Not at all. I think the important thing is to realize that memory has limits.
Okay.
Our perspective is just one part of the story.
And to be open to hearing other people's perspectives.
Exactly, even if they're different from our own.
Instead of arguing about who's right, we can use those differences to learn more about each other.
Exact.
I like this. So next time you and your friend are arguing about what happened on a night out, remember this video.
Yeah, remember that memory is tricky. And there's always more to the story than just our own side.
This has been really interesting.
Yeah.
It's made me think about my own memories.
Me too.
And how maybe they're not always totally accurate.
That's the cool thing about these deep dives. They make us question things.
Right.
And help us understand the world and ourselves better.
So listeners, we want to hear from you.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a totally different memory of an event than someone else?
Let us know.
And remember, this was all just for fun.
Yeah, don't go accusing your partner of lying just because of this video.
Keep learning. Keep laughing. And we'll catch you next time on Easy English Podcast.